So we've all felt that pull. You know, the urge to splurge on a shiny new gadget, a dream vacation, new clothes, or a night out with friends. It's so easy to reach for a credit card, opt for buy now, pay later, or take out financing to make those purchases happen. They actually make getting into debt effortless. But as you know, getting out is so much harder. So, how do you resist these temptations and traps to start making real progress on your debt? Now, in today's episode, we're going to be sharing our suggestions and experiences to help you stay on track. Hey guys, I'm Brad Nelson, founder of Debt Free Dad. I paid off about $45,000 of debt. I've been debt free now for more than 11 years outside of my mortgage. And I've also helped thousands of other people save and pay off tens of millions of dollars worth of work that we do here at Debt Free Dad.
Hi, I'm Amber Taylor, and we paid off over $54,000 in debt in 20 months. And we've been debt free since 2018 outside of our mortgage.
And I'm Katie Hatfield, and I am still on my journey to debt freedom. And I have paid off on a single income in the last almost 6 years, over $163,000 in debt.
And I am Ryan Nelson, and my wife and I paid off about $160,000 in debt while we were raising 3 kids.
Now, after listening to this episode, you guys, if you want to take your finances a step further and you'd like to get better results in as little as just the next 30 to 60 days, I'll be sharing some details about that later on in today's episode. So, guys, to kick off this conversation, I just want to read through this article I saw on NBC.com. And this article talks about, obviously, there's lots of different debt products out there, but this one specifically focuses more on buy now, pay later, which is just exploding. I mean, they are expecting this sector of financing, or I guess would you call it creative financing, maybe, to really blow up. And it's become super, super popular, obviously, over the last 5 years, especially. But I want to read this. And one of the reasons we wanted to talk about this on today's show is because a lot of people struggle with this. It's like, we all have this need or this urge or this want to improve our finances, but it's sometimes really difficult and challenging to stop either swiping a credit card or using buy now, pay later, or financing to buy things. It's like you have all these best of intentions to do it, but how do we actually stop? So today, guys, we want to share a little bit of our experience with this, but I wanted to read this article. This article is written by JJ McCorvey. And he says, many consumers find buying now and paying later a godsend when cash is tight. Others are wishing they'd paid up front to avoid paying later. Tia Whiteside, 27, knew she was spending more than she would have with buy now, pay later services, the popular loans that let borrowers split purchases into installments with little or no interest. Planning a day trip to the beach with her 2-year-old son last year, she spent $800 on Amazon purchases, including a tent, new outfits, and a high-end sandcastle kit with the buy now, pay later provider Affirm. Whiteside, a Greenville, South Carolina-based behavioral analyst who treats childhood autism, makes good money. She and her husband bring in about $110,000 per year combined, but the $6,000 in buy now, pay later loans she's racked up over roughly last 2 years felt frivolous. And she said, especially because they're planning to buy their very first home. She says, I was just seeing my paycheck continually getting eaten up. So Whiteside and I was like, where's my money going? The last straw was a $600 Dyson hair styler and dryer, which she's used just once since purchasing it with Affirm at Neiman Marcus in early February. By mid-March, Whiteside said she deleted the Klarna and Afterpay apps from her phone, but held on to Affirm because she still owes them some money. Buy now, pay later services have taken off among shoppers across income and credit levels from various reasons. Many are seeking cover from high interest credit card rates. Some, having burned through traditional credit options, are desperate for a financial lifeline. Others are simply looking to better manage their cash flow. The fastest uptake has been among consumers 35 and younger, who represent more than half of the buy now, pay later borrowers. LexisNexis Risk Solutions found that last year Let me say that again. LexisNexis Risk Solutions found late last year, many are increasingly using the loans for daily essentials, not just big ticket purchases. While some already see them as a routine tool in their wallets, others, like Whiteside, are turning away in alarm. I can pay on my credit cards more freely if I don't have that other consumer debt. Whiteside has since realized, referring to her existing $10,000 card balance. After trimming her discretionary spending and sticking to home-cooked meals, she says that she's been able to whittle down her buy now, pay later debt to about $1,200. As buy now, pay later usage soars, financial experts and researchers have raised alarms about risky spending on platforms, even though they can often be used responsibly. I'm sure there are people who use it well, but on average, we feel it kind of replaces the credit card, said Ben Lurie, an accounting professor at the University of California. People are consuming extra. There's just no way around it. Lurie and fellow researchers at UC Irvine, Stanford, and Singapore Management University analyzed the bank and credit card data of nearly 11 million consumers. They found that buy now, pay later users racked up at least $176 more per year in overdraft fees, credit card interest, and late fees after starting to use the services. While the transaction data they scrutinized in a paper released March 21st ranged from 2014 to 2021, Lurie said he suspects the overspending has gotten worse, but that may be difficult to gauge in part because buy now, pay later loans aren't uniformly reported to major credit agencies, creating phantom debt that lenders aren't always able to see. Some borrowers have been warning others on social media against buy now, pay later, with few criticizing the service's advertising. This is one quote. It says, "I've got like 10 PayPal and 4 plans left. Thankfully, those are almost done. $500 in Affirm plans and $2,000 on credit cards." One Reddit user said last year, "I just tried to get my parents off my student loans and was told I can't due to my rotating debt to income ratio. I finally paid my Afterpay bill," said somebody else, "and they immediately emailed me to purchase shoes on the installment plan again." A poster on X said in February, "What part of I'm poor do they not understand?" The services have drawn attention from Consumer Financial Protection, and guys, this goes on, and they're going to start talking about regulating the industry and things like that. But I wanted to read through most of that article just to kind of set the stage for our conversation today, because I think this is something that a lot of people struggle with. It's not necessarily, we see it in Roots. We see it with our members. Heck, even in my own life, I struggled with it. You'd have this urge or this want to improve your finances, but man, you guys, they make it so easy to go into debt. I was actually looking at furniture a while back ago. I might have shared this on the podcast, but you can text to apply for a furniture loan right on your phone, right there looking at the couch. And it just says, to have easy payment plan, just text this number and we'll fill out your application and get you approved today. And they just make it so easy to get into some of this stuff. So what has been your guys' experience with a lot of this?
I have fallen into that trap a lot this year because life just happens. And I did some on my credit card. They offer a Planet option and you don't pay any fees as long as you pay them in those 3 months. And I just got my first bill where I missed one of the plans, and I'm like, this is where it starts over again. I have to stop doing this. So I'm on a cook at home, use cash, try to do a no spend challenge as much as I can over the next month or so, because I've been swiping when I shouldn't have, and I know better.
Yeah. I appreciate that honesty, because I think the reality is years ago I used to smoke and I quit smoking. But to this day, if somebody lights up a cigarette and I'm out at a restaurant or something like that, or after I eat, there's a moment where I'm like, I would love to have a cigarette right now. And it's the same with money, for me. There's just because we got out of debt, and Katie, just because you're out of debt, it doesn't mean now we're impervious to feeling this way. We still struggle with this to this day. We've just learned how to keep it in check now. We're having this feeling right now. We just my wife wants a bidet. And I don't know, but we got the quotes for the electric, we got the quotes for this. There's other expenses we have, and it would be super easy to just throw that on a credit card or throw that on and just be like, we're going to pay it off. No big deal. We'll just figure it out. But that's what got us in the situation. Those just small little things. You keep doing that, Katie, like you said, that's what got me into this 100%. If we do that, we know it's like taking that first cigarette again, and I'd be smoking again. So I just know for the betterment of our life, I don't do that anymore.
You know, I've heard a lot of stories about why people go into debt. I've never heard anyone say they went into debt for a bidet.
Hey, we're not.
I've always heard that electrical and water shouldn't mix, but that's just me.
I don't know. Bidets are pretty great, but the temptation doesn't go away.
Right.
Like it doesn't matter whether you've paid off debt, you've changed your behavior, you've done all the things. It just doesn't go away. It's always there. I was just talking to a friend saying like, oh, my car's getting rusty. I hate this. Like, I hate driving up to somebody's house and it's got, I got all this rust on my car and we're going to fix it. But at the same time, it would be so easy just to pull into a dealership and get something new. But then I think to myself, yeah, but I don't got no payments on this thing. I'm good.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing. I think a lot of people, they'll make that assumption that I've just been perfect at, my finances because I'm debt free. And the reality is it's like, no, like I've screwed up. And I think that's the thing. Like you just make the commitment to like, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to do better today. I'm going to do better every day. And I think that's just how you eventually get there. I think you eventually just create this mindset where it's like debt is just not an option. The only time it's never an option for me is, if you're going to buy real estate or, something like that. But other than that, like you eventually create this mindset where you're not going to use debt. But it took a long time to get there. And, how I overcame it is I just learned the pain of screwing up was much worse than the purchase that I actually had ever bought. And then, you pay off that credit card, and countless times you pay off a credit card and it's clear there's nothing on it. All of a sudden you're swiping the card again. And it's like, man. And before you know it, you just, you screw up enough where you learn your lesson and you eventually do better.
And I had been doing so good. Like I haven't swiped a credit card in so long. And this year was like, oh, we're going to the Caribbean twice. So I need to like get warm weather clothes because living in Wisconsin 8 months out of the year, you have to wear all the layers. So going to warm places is like, oh, I need a whole new wardrobe for all of those. But at least next trip, I'm going to Canada and it will be cold. So I have more than enough for that one. So, but it's just, I forgot how easy it was. And I slipped back into it. And then I looked at my bill and I'm like, okay, stop.
Well, that's just it, right? And we see it often in Roots too, where we catch ourselves a lot easier, a lot quicker when we do it now, when we've started to make the behavior changes. We really do catch ourselves before we get too far.
Right.
And I think that that's a big thing is, I think we're all going to slip up at some point. The big thing is catching yourself before you go too far.
The reality is by the end of the year, I'm going to have this bidet I say I don't want, but then I'll probably be using it all the time and love it. We're going to have it at the end of the year. So it doesn't mean we're not going to get it. It's just what we've learned to control is that impulsive, I need it right now because it's going to make me happy if I get it today. And the reason all these buy now, pay later, all these ways to get you to spend money is that's what they're capitalizing on. They know that, it's the same with the car. If they can get you to sit down at the dealership, you're 90% likely to buy the car. It's the same things with these. They're going to give you all these options to like finance that furniture right now because they know if you leave and think about it, you're most likely not going to buy it. So if you just wait, just even 24 hours, you'll probably find that the majority of the stuff you think you just need so badly, that's what we did. We've just learned to let's just think about it. And a majority of the time we don't go through with it.
So, well, let me ask you guys, because obviously we've been on both sides of the extremes. Like all of us were overspenders. We put stuff on credit cards. We took out financing and now we're on the complete opposite side of that. Minus Katie, who just screwed up. I'm just kidding. No, but for real, like the three of you, how did you get to that point? Because I think that's what people are. How do I get to that point where I have that mindset where debt is just not going to be a thing? That's not how we're going to figure it out. Or how do you get to the point where that impulse and that emotion doesn't drive the decision in that moment? How do you put up those roadblocks? What worked for you guys?
For me, it was realizing that all the stuff I had acquired wasn't fulfilling me in any way. It was just coming to the realization that I've been doing this. I've been buying everything, going on all these trips, spending money at a moment's notice, living, this FOMO, you only live once lifestyle. I'm going to just keep doing it. And I think for us, it was like, but we were miserable. And I think it was just, wrestling with that fact, like this next thing that I think is going to make me happy. It was coming to the realization that I'm going to get it. And yeah, I might be happy, but typically within a month or 2 or 3 months, that wears off. And I knew I'd be on to the next thing to make me happy. And that was for us. The biggest thing we just realized is we have all this stuff. We have all these things. We have a nice house. We have nice cars. And yet we're miserable and unhappy.
I don't think it was like a linear process by any means to get from, wanting to buy all the things to just asking myself to wait 24 hours, And for, I think us, we were just so defeated. We were just living this day-to-day hope we get by lifestyle. And we were just so defeated and tired of it that I think it just made the behavior changes a little bit, not easier, but manageable, a little bit more manageable, to make the shifts and eat at home more and not go out as much and say no to things. Just made it a little easier. And the more we paid off debt and had wins, oh my gosh, it made it even more easy. Like we were just like, yes, let's keep going. Let's keep doing this.
Yeah. And I feel like at the point where, especially when I joined Roots, I had sort of hit like my rock bottom. I can't be playing this game anymore with my finances. And I really needed to make a very serious change and take a look at myself in the mirror and say, okay, we have to change something. The mindset, the behaviors, that's what needs to change, because I had done it before, but clearly it hadn't worked when I did it on my own. So making that change and now having so much success over the last almost 6 years. I can't believe it's July will be 6 years that I've been doing this. And yes, I do still have more debt now to pay off. But I have a plan. I stick to it. Yes, we fall off the bandwagon. We get back up on and just keep going.
Yeah, I would say that. I mean, that's what is for me. I think I can resonate with the whole, you just got sick and tired of being tired, and just of letting the stress just weigh on you all the time. And I think once you have that breaking point, it's that's what most people need to come to, though. And everyone has that point. For me, it was losing a house, which was a huge motivator for me. But I think the key is if you're listening to this, and I think a lot of us tend to beat ourselves up because we don't do it perfect. Like, I'm committing to getting out of debt, but here I am still using credit cards, and there's a lot of shame and embarrassment and feelings behind that. But the reality is all of us here on this podcast, we all struggle with the same types of things. So there's nothing wrong with it. It's just continuously making that commitment day after day to do a little bit better. And eventually you just create this mindset, like I say, where if we have to use debt, it's just a no right away. There's not even a consideration for it. But it took years to obviously build that, and it will for you too. But it's something that you all have to learn as you go through it, that you're not going to do it perfect. And there's nothing wrong with that. Even now, I mean, shoot, none of us are perfect when it comes to this. We're not perfect at budgeting. We're not perfect at saving. We're not perfect at any of it. It's just a daily practice and commitment.
And I think too, this is an area where you have people out in the world, offering tips and advice like we do. And I think they do get on people too much about, you have to do it a perfect certain way in order to be successful. And if you don't, you're stupid and dumb. And, so I don't think that helps. I think that adds to the shame level of people. And then people just like, they have a moment of weakness and they do the wrong thing. And instead of people encouraging and say, just it's fine, you just keep going, keep doing the right things. So you're going to fall once in a while. Instead, we shame them and we point the finger and we say, you didn't do it right. And then people are just like, well, just forget it then. I don't want to do it at all. And it's like, you don't have to, do it in that certain way to get out of debt. I mean, I'm proof. I think all of us are proof to some degree. Like we celebrate people that are going to take a vacation and pay cash while they're getting out of debt. Mm-hmm. Now, if your goal is to get out of debt and you get out of debt and you still took vacations, that's awesome and amazing. You shouldn't be shamed to say, I'm going to take a vacation and pay cash for it while you're getting out of debt. That's just, to me, that's craziness.
You have to give yourself grace to
Yes.
not go like I did start off gung ho. We're going to do everything, but that gets old really fast too. So you have to give yourself some wins and you have to give yourself some fun along the way. You just have to budget for it ahead of time too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it sets yourself up for self-sabotage, essentially. You cut out too much. I made that mistake too. Cut out way too much and you end up spending it anyways because you're human, right? So you might as well just put it in the plan, put it in the budget that it's going to happen, even if it means that it's going to take you a little bit longer to get out of debt. It's okay. Like you got to live life too.
Right. And the one other thing you touched on, Katie, is, just taking accountability. And I don't know what it is with social media today. There just seems to be a lot of comments coming in that like to blame everything for their problems. And it's like, I think that was a big thing for me in avoiding buy now, pay later. All this stuff is like, we are our own worst enemy, and acknowledging that and taking ownership of that is probably one of the single best things you can do, because when you get in this mind, and I was there, I used to be there. I didn't make enough money. It was my boss's fault. It was the economy. It was the housing crisis. I had all sorts of blame to throw around. And until I took any accountability, I never made any progress. I totally get that there are things that are out of all our control, but what can you control? And if you are only into blaming and pointing fingers, you're going to be stuck. Bottom line, you're never going to move forward with your finances if it's always someone else's fault, because you basically said, I can't do anything about it because it's not me.
All right, guys, if you want to pay off debt, save more money, and take control of your finances and start seeing some amazing results in just 30 to 60 days, all you have to do is head over to debtfreedad.com, click on the green button at the top of the page, and we're going to show you how you can get started. As always, guys, congratulations to all of you who are taking a stand for your financial life and are wanting better. Hey, we get that getting out of debt isn't easy, but with our help and your consistency and discipline, we promise you this is going to be some of the best work that you do in your entire life. Thanks for joining us on today's show, and we will see you guys on the next episode.